Hi everyone, this is John with Front Range Anglers, and today I'm going to be showing you one of my favorite patterns for imitating mayfly nymphs. This is one that I use all the time, and you can tie in mainly sizes of 14 all the way down to 18 is what I find the smallest. I kind of go with them. In the vise I have a Hanak Competition H450BL in a size 16. And then on the bead side of things, I have a 3/32 slotted gold bead. For the thread, I'm going to be using a Olive 70 UTC thread. You can do them in a bunch of different colors, but Olive has been one of my favorites. So I'm going to wrap that back just about to the hook point. And then I'm going to be tying in the tail fibers. And I am yet again going to be using some Fibets or Baetis wings in a tan. So I'm going to get those, tie those in where my thread stopped, and I'm going to do 1 or 2 turns, center out my tail fibers, do another wrap, and then adjust my length, and ideally those tail fibers should just be about the length of the body, something just like that. Then I'm going to hold those centered, wrap just a few more times back, and then work that thread all the way up. Sometimes I just like to make sure that those Fibets are kind of staying centered, just so I get an even distribution on the actual body. We'll trim off the excess. And then for the wire wrapping, I'm going to be using a small gold wire. Pretty straightforward, nothing too crazy. You can do it with different bead colors. Gray is another one I really like, or copper, like a gunmetal, sorry, not a gray, but gunmetal. And I like to put the point of my wire right into the back slot of that bead, kind of helps lock it in position. We're going to wrap that wire all the way back to where the tail fibers are and work yet again back up to the bead. From here we can go ahead and do our wraps, leaving a good amount of spacing in between them, trying to make them as even as possible. If they aren't super tight towards the head of the fly or the bead, that's fine, because that's where we're actually going to be having our dubbing and our actual wing case. So from here we're actually going to start making the wing case, and I personally use Microlon in like a dark brown or black for a lot of my wing cases, and I'll kind of show you why. I just think it works well. I'm just going to kind of eye out what looks like a good amount. Right now I'm using probably about 6 or 7 strands of it. Cut those off to the length, don't need a whole lot. And then I'm just going to tie those fibers in right in behind the bead. And I'm going to make a little flat section, probably about to my first main wire wrap. That is where we're going to be putting our dubbing, so I like it to be a little bit wider, that way we can still get a nice wing case on there. So now that we trimmed off those extra fibers, we can go ahead and get our dubbing, which is going to be a Hare's Ice Dub in a golden brown. Love using this stuff, it's some of my favorite. And we're just going to do pretty tight dubbing noodle on there. And we want just enough to be able to kind of fill in that little space we just created. So I like to work back and then work up to the front of the bead. Something very similar just to that, to where we can have enough to actually tease out a little bit later. So then to create the actual wing case, all I'm going to do is I'm going to pull those fibers, those Microlon fibers, up to the top. I'm going to pinch with my fingers and just do a light wrap, center them out just to kind of grasp them in the right spot. Center right in the slot of that bead, one other wrap to kind of cinch it down, and then I'm gonna go right in front once, twice. And you can even go behind if you'd like one more time, just to make sure it's locked down. From here, we're gonna trim off the rest of those fibers, trying to get as tight as possible. So from here, I like to just do a little bit of cleanup work. Any excess long fibers I see on the top section of the fly, I want to kind of trim just a little bit. That way when we put the resin on for the actual wing case, it doesn't get in the way. And one extra, that's fine. Alright, so from here we're basically done with all of our thread and materials. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a probably about 3 turn whip finish. To just finish that off there, cinch it down, trim off our excess. Awesome. So right now we can already kind of see that we built a nice little black wing case up top. You can leave it like this, but I definitely still like doing the UV resin on there. And then I'll show you one other thing I do as well to kind of add a little bit more pop on that wing case. I don't need much flash in it. I think the Microlon fibers already kind of have a little bit of sheen to them, so I just leave them. Then I'm going to get my Solarez Thin Hard and just do a little bit right on the top, nothing too crazy. Right when I lay it down, I kind of use my fingers to make sure that it's even, and I'll turn it upside down. That way it doesn't want to seep too much into the dubbing or the eye of the hook. I like the shape of that already, so I'm going to just go under and hit it with the UV. Once it's cured, I can kind of rotate it back, make sure it's sitting nice. Make sure that top shell is nice and cured. Just like that. Alright, so from here you can call it good right here. If you don't want to, basically what I do after this is I just add a little bit of black nail polish on top of that UV resin for the wing case to kind of get it to lap over the bead. But if you want to stop here, you absolutely can. So I'm just using just black nail polish. Anything will really work, nothing too crazy. And I'm going to get most of the paint off excess, and I'm just going to do a little bit right on the top, making sure it's nice and even. Something just like that. It gives it a little bit more flash, and also it gets that wing case fully on the top of the bead. Something just like that, so it adds a little bit more depth to it. And then from here we're basically done. The only other thing I like to do is I like to get a file or Velcro or anything like that and tease out those fibers, trying to not hit the setting nail polish, but I just use a wire brush to kind of tease out some of those fibers, go through, pull out some of the excess. I still have one large one on the bottom that I'm going to get rid of, just like that. And there's going to be one of my favorite Mayfly nymphs. It's very effective. I love it in this color pattern. You can do it in a few different ones as well, but a super effective pattern that I've done for a while, and it's super effective. So if you haven't tried it yet, definitely give it a shot. Thank you.